So I've heard you're new to Blender and you like your life too much. Well, we're gonna fix that. Let's start using Blender. Let's go over the basics. So you've opened the program, you see there's a box here, We're going to go over some of the basic controls and stuff, and then we're gonna make a Knick Knack box, which is going to be a rectangle with 9 little boxes in it, or whatever you might want to call that. So basically when you start the program, you see that we can see a cube in the middle. So how do you get things done? How do you move the camera? You can use your middle mouse button to rotate around. If you hold down the shift and then you press and hold your mouse button, you can move the camera, right? If you press the dot button on your right side of your keyboard where the numbers are, the numpad is, it's going to zoom in into the currently selected object, right? So right now we're learning a lot. You want to zoom out, you scroll with your mouse wheel to the back. You want to zoom in, you scroll forward. Very easy shit. Everything is intuitive. Anyway, let's get into editing this object. Now, there's a button, it's tab. You go into the edit mode. If you don't know how to press tab, or you don't know what a tab is, you can just click up here under object mode and switch it to edit mode. Fancy stuff, you must admit. Let's go to the side view. How are we to the front view? How are we going to go to the front view? We're going to press 1 on the numpad button of our keyboard, right? Easy stuff. Let's move our box up by 1 because we can't be a pretty princess unless everything lines up. So we press G to grab. You can grab and move objects. So if you press G and you move with your mouse, the object is grabbed and it moves around. Control Z to reverse that edit. Now let's move it in the Z space. You press G to grab, you press Z to lock the object into Z space, you press 1 to move it up by 1. You see these little squares? That's 1 meter or some unit of measurement. Who knows? Who cares? Anyway, let's use our middle mouse button to rotate our view so we can see what exactly is going on. Alright, now we can see our cube from the top. We are currently on the vertices select mode. You see, we can select vertices. Isn't that fancy? You can switch to the line select mode and we can select lines or edges as they might be called. But for the thing we're going to be doing very soon, we're going to need faces because we want to select the topmost face, and then let's move it down about 1.5. So how do we do it again? We press G to grab the thing. We don't want to move it with a mouse because that does not give us precise movements. Let's Control Z that. Press G to hold it. Press Z to lock the Z axis. Let's move it down by 1.5. So 1.5. Uh-oh, it went up. So what can we do now? We can press the minus button on our keyboard and then gonna go negative 1.5 down. How would we make this box that we're currently looking at into something that has 9 little boxes in it? Let's think about it. We need to cut the box into 9 equal parts somehow. How do you get it done? There's a tool, it's called the loop cut, right? We click the loop cut, but wait, it's cutting in the middle. That's not what we want, is it? Let's go up here and there's a number of cuts. We'll set it to 2. So cut it by 2 here and by 2 here. And let's get back to our face selecting. Deselect the loop cut so you don't get annoyed by this bullshit. I said deselected. Yeah, you deselected by pressing this thing up here. Never mind. Thank you. 10 times the charm apparently. So now we have 9 equal parts. What can we do with 9 equal parts? Let's select them all individually because we haven't gone over how to select things. How would we know how to select multiple things? That doesn't matter. We'll select them individually. On my PC it's a right click button, but I'm guessing if you're using the newer Blender it's left click. Not important. You'll figure that part out by yourself. Now that we have everything selected, you see we can use the E button to extrude faces. Oh, but that's not what we want. Now everything is combined. Not very Gucci. Let's go back. What we want is the individual extrude, and in order to do that, we'll open up our toolbox here, or whatever this box is called, and find extrude individual. So we're gonna type extrude EXT. Don't judge me, I don't know how to spell anything, but over here we can see extrude individual faces. We'll click it, and then make sure to click your button so that the extrusion process is confirmed. Okay, now if we press G and move up, we can see, everything looks the same. But if you select just one face, you'll notice everything is separated. Let's Control Z that a couple of times till we get back here. Now what we can do is, when we select each of these faces, we can go up here from median to individual origins. And now whatever we do, the action is not going to be computed from the middle of all the vertices. It's going to be interpreted to the middle of each selected object, right? So let's press scale, and then if we move our mouse, you can see that each of these faces is scaled individually. Isn't that fancy? But we do want to scale them in a precise way. So we're going to press S, then 0.75, and now they're scaled to 75% of what they were. Now we're going to extrude again, but this time, since none of these faces are touching each other, we don't need to do individual extrude. We can just do the normal extrude. So press E, and then press the mouse button to lock it in. Okay, now we got extruded faces from this. And if we just press G to grab, Z to lock the Z axis, and move our mouse down, all of a sudden you'll notice is you got 9 different boxes for your Knick Knacks, right? And maybe you want to 3D print this, but what you're thinking to yourself, damn, don't these corners look a little too sharp? Somebody's gonna poke an eye out on that, right? Well, I got you covered. What Blender has is modifiers, so you go into the modifiers tab. Now this shape is already selected, but let's say you've got nothing selected. You do want to select this. Okay, you go to the modifiers, you click search, and then you go to bevel. So we click the search and we go to bevel, B-E-V, bevel, right? And now we can play with some of these numbers until we get something that resembles a tiny bevel at the edges, maybe a 0.05. And now you can 3D print this box for your little Knick Knacks. Now, I know what you're telling yourself, but these outside walls are thin while the inside walls are fat. Now there's 1,000 ways you can actually do this differently, but the simplest way to do it would be to go back to edit mode. Let's press the tab button to go back to edit mode. Select each of the inner faces of the boxes on this side, and then make sure this is on median point. Then press S for scale, then Y for Y axis, and then 0.5. And now the size of this wall is exactly the same as the outside walls. Let's do this for each of the other box faces that we need to do it for. Select all, press X, press S for scale, Y for Y direction, then 0.5. Good. Now we're going to be shrinking these walls. We select them all, as for scale, but this time we're going to press X because it's the X axis that we want to manipulate, then 0.5. And again, for these walls as well, S, X 0.5. And there you go. We got our little box for Knick Knacks, so you can store all the bullshit you have in your life that you're too mentally incapable of throwing away, just like me. Anyway, that was a slight Blender tutorial, and I will be seeing you next time, right?